Did you
So
just press record, Niche?
yeah, I just pressed record.
Very good. Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah.
hi Sam, thank you so much for joining me on By the Rules. First of all, I just want to take this moment to thank you for actually agreeing to do this with me. You've been featured on Tomorrowland Radio, BBC Asian Network, and you've supported some global artists. Your genre of music is so special in itself. So it's a very funny story. The way I actually, I was just discovering new music, which is like ethnic house and techno. And I would say that you're the first Indian artist that I stumbled upon, and I was like, okay, that's very interesting that this is happening. I remember I was in was that place in Delhi called I'm forgetting the name, but Miso Sexy or something like that. It's
Niche
right
sexy.
next to it's right next to Diablo. I think somebody played your track. It was called Rupaye Wala, and I was like, very interesting. And that's how I was like, okay. And then yeah, one thing led to another. Then we met in Paris, and I asked you to be on my show. So first of all, thank you
Okay.
so much. And I'll quickly just go into asking that what is that journey look like, and how did all this happen, and how did you actually start to become a DJ producer?
First of all, pleasure to be here. It's always nice to give uh, surprising interviews, and people stumbling upon my music. And I'm glad that you surfaced my music in Delhi.
Right.
And coming back to how my journey started, well, I started to get fascinated by DJing and electronic music at 2012 in 2012 when I saw one of the after movies for Ultra Music Festival, and a lot of big room sounds and electro sounds were very popular then. Like the
Right.
genre that I produce right now wasn't. It was big. It was not big in India, but those kind of party genres are very big
Hmm.
outside US and Europe. And somehow through YouTube, I stumbled upon those videos, and that's when I started. That's when I actually didn't want to be a DJ first. I just wanted to know how that sound. The sound was very new and fascinating. I wanted to create that sound. I
Right.
did not think I would DJ actually. I actually thought first let me just figure out how to make that because the sound really connected to me. And then I started making 2013, 14, and 15 is when I started DJing. And I think 2018 is when I found my own sound that I am really connected to my roots. Obviously, with age you mature as well,
Hmm.
and you decide what happens. At first when you start, you obviously do everything out of excitement and trying out new things. But as I matured as a producer, I started connecting to my roots, and I realized this is what I do best.
Right.
Hence the Indian fusion with house and techno.
Amazing. What are you formally trained in? Are you an engineer? Is that I'm getting it right?
No, I'm actually animation and film study student, so I know a
Oh,
bit of branding, design,
right.
storytelling.
Right. Amazing. So like now you're doing the same thing with music essentially.
Exactly, exactly. That's how I design as well, and that's how I perform my set as well. So I make sure I tell a story, and most of my branding is taken care by myself or approved by me if anybody else is out. It's outsourced
Yeah.
because of the sense and education I've had.
Right, amazing. So, and before we move forward, I have to ask you. So, your stage name is Fake Tattoos.
For
So,
sure.
where does that come from? What's the story behind it? And it's very interesting that you said that you design, like at least the branding is taken care by you. So
Hmm.
that really shows in your visual language of your sets and the design. So, where did that name
Okay.
come from? What is the design inspiration?
The before fake tattoos, my name was actually 5 amp. First four initials of my name, S was 5 actually.
Okay.
But like I said, in the early years, I was not serious to DJ. I didn't know how to DJ.
Mm-mm-mm.
So I anyway was a part of Comic Con. I was cosplaying at Comic Con Bangalore in 2015.
Mm.
So I was cosplaying as Dead Mouse. Dead Mouse is like a Canadian DJ music producer, very globally very famous,
Yeah.
and he has a lot of tattoos on his skin. So I had to obviously make or get fake tattoo sleeves.
Okay.
So and cosplayers were called on stage, and I was also called on stage when I was cosplayer. Someone from the crowd was screaming, "I really love your fake tattoos and all." That's where the story came from. That's where the name came from. So
That's
it's like I was like, I like the way it sounds. So I was like, let me just pick it up. Yeah. And
right.
yeah, 10, 7, 8 years later, here we are.
Amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, like in this whole journey, I'm sure, like, it's like 10 years now that, you've actually started doing this and experimenting with music to finally actually, having your own shows and producing your own albums. I at what point did you actually think that, okay, yeah, this is something that I can do, like, for life, and this is what I want my, so to speak, like, this is my career, this is what pays my bills.
Mm. In the beginning, it doesn't pay your bills. So you obviously I had a lot of jobs. I was a graphic designer, like I studied animation, so I had my jobs as well.
Mm.
But I think by 2017, I had decided I want to do this full time. But I know that financials were not sorted, so I did have jobs.
Mm.
But it was actually during COVID, I took the gamble of, you know what, leave everything. I'm going
Right.
all in this. So I was like, screw everything else, and somehow it worked,
Okay.
and it's working so far.
I
For
mean,
the last 3 years, I've not had any secondary job. It's purely just
wow, I love that.
performing. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, since COVID to today, yeah, 2023. Before that, I had a job, and I was still like, I was figuring out how to, cut through the industry, like we were discussing, networking and everything. But yeah,
Mhm.
right now, life is much different.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, like in that journey, in that process, and I've spoken to so many people. I myself in am in that position where you're like, okay, this is what I'll do, and it comes with a certain sort of. It's not comfortable, at least in the beginning. Like,
Yes.
so, what were I, the way I want to frame this is that what is it that a kept you pushing forward, and like were there moments where you were like हो जाएगा, like things will happen and it'll get sorted.
Yeah. It's like in romantic language, you call it choosing a soulmate, but this is like in a career way. Sometimes you just know, no matter how difficult it is, you just know you have to push through. And there were times I thought, at least I think twice, I came close to giving up. But then for me, I was very passionate. It was very hard for me to get out. I think it would have mentally strained me if I would have gotten out.
Right.
So I chose the otherwise. I'm like, what if it works out? And you know, and yeah, I kept thinking the harder it is, the more consistent I can be. It's the very simple cliched
Hmm.
advices you see on the internet. So I kind of believed in those cliched advices. The harder it is, the
Yeah.
more consistent you are, eventually it will work out. Just stick to it, just stick to it, just stick to it. And I used to watch a lot of artist interviews and documentaries, and most of them have the same story. The only difference is they just didn't give up, and they just kept doing the same thing over and over again
Hmm.
till they became like perfect in that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so it's just a very, very cliched idea. But yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can just suggest just keep going, and keep doing the other things side by side. You're networking, you're socializing. Currently, you're at the initial stage. Keep mixing, keep doing, keep making mistakes. I
Yeah.
think eventually, like, it will be like a muscle memory to you.
Right.
Yeah, right now you can blindfold me, I can still mix. And I'll be
Nice.
like, oh, okay.
Amazing.
So it's like, yeah, it comes very naturally after all these years.
In this whole process, was there like a specific moment where you were like, okay, now I can be more confident in pursuing this, or was it very gradual?
Honestly speaking, I kind of was not fascinated by, letting it come to me and then suddenly blowing up. I always, from the beginning, I had in my mind, let it be gradual. So I made sure it was gradual. I did get offered some big shows also for free sometimes for a good amount of money. But I was very, I won't say super picky,
Hmm.
but I made sure that I choose a space where I grow gradually, because I know that even with success or no success, like there's immense amount of psychological stress.
Hmm.
So I chose everything based on the stress I can take. Actually, if
Right.
suddenly I have like a lot of shows in a month, I would actually not go for it. I would actually have a personal life myself and gradually uh, go for it. Actually, even today also, like we do get a lot of show offers, but we
Hmm.
say no to a lot because I don't want to strain my body. I want to be able to be able doing this. Like I should be able to
Yeah.
do this further and further. So balance is important. I think from that, you can call it an Indian spirituality mentality or something. If you're surrounded by a lot of spiritual people, you
Hmm.
get to know that balance is far more important than just chasing after it and just going after it all. Yeah. So I think, yeah, even though I'm touring a lot, it's let's say 10 to 12 shows a month.
Hmm.
There's a little strain in body, but that is something I can take. But I do feel balance in my life, so I'm happy about it.
That's amazing. That
Yes.
that totally reminds me of the whole conversations we had around stoicism and all, and I will come
Yeah.
to that a little later.
Yes, yes, for sure. Yeah.
But before that, I wanted to. I'm very curious about the whole genre in itself, because I'll be honest, it hasn't been long. It's been what I would say probably less than a year that I actually discovered it. Actually, I think it was sometime in December or last December or beginning of January this year, when I was like,
Okay.
okay, yeah, there is this kind of music which is being made, and there are
Mm.
artists who are experimenting with not just like Indian, but like also say something like Afro beats and stuff, piano and stuff. So all this is new. Like, this was kind of unheard of. It was very in a traditional sense. So when it comes to you, you said at a point in this conversation that you understood that okay, this is your like soulmate, or this is what you want to make. You found your roots in music. So was that genre like was it a gradual discovery, or did you sort of strategize in a certain sense? How did you actually?
Actually, it was a gradual discovery. It was through traveling. Uh, like I said, I did not have network in club life in the music industry. I was slowly cutting through. While that was happening by the side, I was also traveling with my friends, having my own life experiences and understanding. And I think me traveling to Goa
Hmm.
while I was not partying, even though like uh, 2016, 17, I was making this kind of music, I was not partying that much, but I still would go to Goa with my friends and visit certain kind of music. Like I discovered a lot of ethnic down tempo music in Arambol, which is
Right.
why there's a track called Arambol. Yeah, yeah, that's where it came from. Yeah, yeah. So I think 2018, 19 was the time when I discovered those kind of sounds in a very down tempo form. But then I decided, okay, I know electronic music. I like the fast party music. I like the techno and a little bit of energy and those aggressive sounds.
Hmm.
And I do like listening to the very down tempo stuff because it's a very different culture in Arambol. It's very like it's about whole like more body, mind, wellness. But
Hmm.
I liked a bit of fast life as well. I like a bit of slow life as well. So I combined the both
Right.
after traveling and figuring it out. It was it so you can call it, it gradually happened to me. Like it came to me. Like I discovered through traveling itself only. And after that, I always suggest. I think if people are looking for new kinds of music,
Hmm.
I think traveling is actually a good thing to do.
That's actually so inspiring, because a lot of people have said this in conversations that I asked them that what is one thing that you would recommend anybody to do to like get to know yourself, just move ahead in life, and everybody is like traveling. It is like you
Uh,
have to
it
see
is
the
travel.
world.
Yeah, with a purpose. With a purpose, actually. Obviously, just not to travel like to
Mhm.
just for like looking at places or something like that. Travel with a purpose. And
Yeah.
once I think that started a pattern in me that every time when I was in Arambol, I was very like what do you call interested in the culture of the village
Right.
and so every time I go or somewhere I travel, if you notice when I was in Paris also, I was always talking about architecture, culture. So that started a pattern of me getting interested in the culture of the city rather than just traveling and just mindlessly,
Hmm.
going after it, going for the clout or going for the fields.
Hmm.
I decided to, everywhere I travel, this becomes my intention. I need to know about the culture a
Yeah.
little bit or maybe connect.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, like, what was your first, like, that whole process of making your first album? Which one was your first album?
Bloom. It's called Bloom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some tracks,
Yeah.
because I've heard your individual tracks, but I don't know if they're a part of,
They're
uh,
all part of an album. So I release it as singles. Then when the album comes out, I just add it to them and just put
yeah,
it out.
the same album with like Sufi Maya and all of that, or
No, that is the second album.
that's the second album? Okay,
That's
okay.
the second.
So your
Yes.
third album, Unfazed. So talk
Yes.
to me
Correct.
about the whole process. Like, what was it like in the first, the second, the now the third, and what has the process as an artist, as a creator been like?
Okay. Fantastic. Very good question. I like it. Uh, Bloom, as you've heard, Bloom was my first album, and that's when I discovered my roots, and that's when I discovered my sound. And I told you about Arambola as well.
Mm,
So the reason I named it Bloom was because obviously it's like a flower blooming. It's a new thing,
yeah,
and obviously the album has two, three genres. Actually, it doesn't have one genre. It has two, three genres. It has house. It has a bit of techno influence as well. But there's few down tempo and electronica songs as well. So I was also discovering, in terms of I discovered my sound, but I was also discovering genre specific as well. So, but my first sound is a little more. First album is a little bit more versatile.
Mm.
Um, so Bloom was about that. Bloom was about, I've explored my sound. Let me just put it out there in different styles, BPMs, formats. Branded is when the second album came out. It was after COVID. I think during COVID also, I learned a lot about branding and a lot about selling yourself properly. So Branded is far more structured in terms of the sound.
Yeah.
Everything has a very similar BPM beats.
Mm, mm,
Yes, yeah. But again, it's complementing the previous album as well.
mm.
So, but yeah, I didn't change the genres much. Everything was in one genre mostly. And yeah, like I said, Branded was just, putting it out there that, my sound is much more solid and my genre is much more solid. This is the direction I want to head to.
Yeah.
And coming back to Unfazed is where it's about this past 2 years where I have relentlessly worked hard and
Mm.
never let any obstacle comes in, where obviously the idea of stoicism also comes
Yeah.
as well. So that's why I use the word, you know what? Now I'm in a stage in my life, in my head, where
Mm.
very few things can affect me.
Mm.
And I won't say few or so negligible. I'm not finding any. Maybe I'm doing very well in terms of mentally doing very well. So unfazed is that about, I have total control and total, what do you call it? Mm, structure, total, the idea is everything's like, I'm in a very sorted mindset to now, this is where we're heading, this is
Yeah.
what we are pushing. It's the same sound, but much more basically becoming organized in life.
Right, right, right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I would like to ask that in the whole process, like for example, while you were working on Bloom and while you were working on the other two albums, and is there a point in the whole process where it's like rediscovering yourself as an artist?
Mm, the first album will always be special because that's when I think I snapped out of a lot of excuses of life,
Mm.
blooming, and obviously that's when I hit it artistically.
Yeah,
So the first album will always be special,
yeah,
and the other two are very special very differently,
right.
but that matures with age, and that has a very different phase and stage in my life,
Yeah.
and it comes with my life experiences, no doubt about it. And
Mhm.
third album obviously came out of me traveling a lot around the world after that.
Okay,
So
okay.
it has a different experience. But the first is when, it's
Yeah,
a first album, it's your first baby, and, artistically, you putting out an album out of nowhere, just decided I'll just put out an album. Screw it,
yeah,
we'll see what happens. Even though I was not doing that many shows that
right,
time,
right.
but I kind of decided to release. I had some fans, some followers, but I was like, yeah, let's just go for it and let's just put it out and see. It was like a total risk in the dark. The rest two albums are very structured. Strategy was there. The first album had no strategy. That's why the genres are a bit mixed.
Right.
Everything else is there. It's just like
Mm.
putting it out there. Yeah. Ki, okay, I am ready to myself in the marketplace. So it's like a jump when you're not ready to take a jump. So that's why it's always be
Yeah.
special. Right now, I'm just ready to take any kind of jump. That was when I was not ready. So that's why it's always going to be special.
That's amazing. You mentioned a very interesting thing, which is that that's when you snapped out of the excuses. So
Yeah.
talk to us about it in the sense that what are these excuses? Like, everybody faces them. So for you
Yeah.
personally, what were these excuses that were holding you back and not letting you take action?
One of the biggest excuse I think today's artists also face, even after years of experience, is they're a big critic to themselves.
Mm,
Is, oh, it might not be sound too good or something like that. But again, it's to each artist on his own. I cannot say that my journey is or my decisions is going to be similar to them. Uh, but I can advise is that the more you put out, even though you're unsure, is when you'll find a direction rather than not putting out. So that
yeah,
is one excuse you get. Yeah, yeah. So any kind of content or it's not just about music also. When you're having self-doubt, people obviously are fearful of self-doubt, not specifically, they don't think that it's good enough because they think that, oh fuck, what if somebody thinks this about that, they comment about that. Even till today also, these thoughts come with me as well,
mm,
to me as well. But truthfully, if there are audience who are watching your effort, they'll guide you. They'll guide you with their feedback. They'll guide you with them liking the stuff. They'll guide you. So I'm at a stage where a lot of fans are involved in my life
Nice. Yeah.
because I took that risk of snapping out of the excuse. They're involved. They know me from the beginning of the track, and they know today's track as well. They obviously text me like very nice, hearty messages, like how they've connected me through the beginning. Every day I get it. Every day.
Sweet. Yeah.
And they also advise me. They also get connected. Why don't you try to mix this track? Why don't you try? So you see,
Hmm.
audience is like only when you put out, they will get involved with you as a family and community. So it's not mostly about receiving criticism, or it's about being artistically amazing.
Hmm.
I think eventually when you snap out of those excuses and you put it out, you find your community, and it's very amazing. It's a very important thing in music to find your own, or in art
Yeah.
to find your own community. So I'm happy I have that.
Hmm.
Slowly all over the world. Right now, obviously in India, it's very strong, and slowly all over the world, you're a part of that community as well from France.
Thank you. Yeah.
So yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah. It just
Putting out is there.
sweet.
Yes, tell me.
Yeah, I think this is just bringing this memory of it's not been very long. Few days back, you posted a story on Instagram about, I think, one of your first gigs where you paid like 500 rupees, and you said something like from 500 rupees to like, something like what you're doing
Dot
today.
dot dot.
The thing is that there's new artists, musicians, DJs every day. Okay, like everybody's now, with internet being so accessible, everybody can be anybody they want. So, what is it that worked for you? What did you do differently that gave you the kind of, say, growth exposure that where you are at today?
It's consistency, literally. No, there's no answer to. If you look at it, 2019 first album, 2021, 2021, 22 second album, 2023. I basically never stopped.
Hmm.
So if after 2019 I would have taken a big gap, there would have been a huge difference.
Hmm.
Yes, there are people who've gotten popular with one-hit wonders. Obviously, that's years in the making to make them popular like that. Uh, Achieving success is like the easy part. I don't consider myself fully successful yet, but retaining them is important. So I am achieving and retaining at the same time. I'm not going after achieving for first and then thinking what will happen later.
Yeah.
Me coming out with third album is also trying to speak to my community that I'm retaining as well while I'm achieving.
Right.
So I think the consistency of or the show that I'm also continuously touring as well. So all this is like a message. I am focused on retaining what we are building.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So talk to me a little more about Unfazed. There's a track that I heard, like a small sample. I think it's called Shazada. And
right.
the way you name your tracks is very interesting. Like that in
Okay.
itself, intrigues somebody.
Sometimes I name my tracks based on if there's a lyric I name on based on lyric. But if like a track like Shahzada, I discuss it with my people in my community who are involved. How does this track sound? Does it? So they come up with words like it sounds royal. It sounds it sounds a part of it sounds like Jaipuri. It sounds Udaipuri. It sounds like let's name it Badshah. Let's name it Shahzada.
Yeah.
Haveli was like when I made Haveli is one of my very popular tracks that got featured on Tomorrowland Radio. When that came out, people are like, "Oh, it's very haunty and all that." So Bhool Bhulaiya came in my head. I was like, "Let us name it Haveli."
Yeah.
So it's like a very Halloween spooky track
That's
with
nice.
that vibe.
Yeah.
So yeah, why not? So we basically, I think, like I said, if because of the travel, because of the experience we've had, because of the things we've consumed,
Mm.
we've seen, I think more of our track names come from there. Like
Mm.
if I would not have seen so many mahals or not known much about Jaipur or something, I don't think Shahzada Badshah would have come. There's
Mm.
another in the making which will come in the fourth album later, Darbar, because I visited Mysore Palace and had posted a story
Ah,
about
yeah,
this,
yeah, yeah,
naming it. So you see, travel does help me. Like
yeah,
it can
yeah,
come from anywhere. Yeah.
yeah,
And now people are actually involved. When are you going to release Darbar? Because I've not played it, and
right.
they're excited to know how Darbar is going to sound.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they're involved as well. Yeah. Sometimes
yeah.
my mother, sometimes my best friends. Yeah,
Amazing. So yeah, you can properly say that it's a community effort, and like.
it's a community effort. Yeah.
So, stoicism. This is something
Yeah.
that we spoke about, I think, in detail when you were visiting Paris. We had conversations around a lot of other things like gender, politics, and all of that. So, but the idea of stoicism is something that I think is very helpful to anybody at any stage of life. So,
Mm.
how, when, and why? Like, how did that idea first, like come to you? And when was it? Was it a specific incident or like a phase? And why do you recommend it to anybody? How? So
He was actually one of the girls I was seeing actually. So she was like 8 to 9 years elder to me,
yeah,
and I think we were seeing currently, and suddenly, she decided not to see me anymore, and then she told me, "I will tell you about a lot of things later." And obviously, we all moved on with our ahead with our lives, and then one day I met her again, and then I understood, okay, why? Like I figured it out myself. She told me, "You'll figure it out yourself because you're heading there. You'll not know yet, but right now you're not there yet." Yeah, she studied. She's very particular about her life, so you know what she wants, what she doesn't want to do. So that's when obviously, like, a lot of things like uh, being very self accountable.
mm,
So I was on the journey to be very self accountable, but she, I think, she noticed that earlier, and I think she'll say that you will automatically notice and you'll come to me one day in terms of, like, speaking to me about it.
mm,
So eventually I met her and I figured out, okay, there was a lot of things I was talking because uh, I think हवा में बहुत बात हम लोग कर देते हैं और हमको, like, we don't get to know that we are speaking. So whatever comes out of our mouth should be very serious, should be very, you should be very careful
mm,
what you talk, how you behave. And I'm not saying walking on eggshells. You mean,
mm,
like, knowing what you do, knowing what you are, knowing who you are.
mm,
So even naming the track Unfazed is related to stoicism because now I know that I'm at a stage where I have fans, I have people buying tickets for me. I cannot be reckless. So I have a duty to them as well myself. Obviously, I'm not straining and psychologically pushing myself,
mm.
but I have a duty to them as well. So might as well not just look at it as artistically, but more humanely. That these guys are spending their time on money on me. These guys have certain expectations. They're happy I'm able to play this music, spread this culture globally as well. So I know they will have expectations from me to do it even more.
Mm.
So rather than being very casual, very kiddish, very non self accountable, so let me just get into a path that I take it even more seriously. So that's where I think it came from. So
Yeah,
yeah, like I said again, life experiences.
life experiences, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Certain
So
people, they teach you certain things, and they come and then it eventually helps. Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
such a big blessing in disguise.
Mm, mm, mm. That's
Yeah,
a,
yeah.
that's
And I do get messages from people that you're touring so much, you're so proud to see you. Like great amount of messages. So
mm,
I know all this is also related to stoicism because they expect me to do more, or they
mm,
expect me to do better, or they expect me to spread this.
mm,
So yeah, and since they connect with me so wholly and artistically,
mm.
it's also in a way my duty to give that respect back to them by not being reckless, by not being by staying healthy,
Yeah,
by obviously not keeping a watch on my mouth behavior, everything, all of this is very connected.
yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. What rules do you think you have totally, like, consciously or unconsciously, or status quo that you've moved away from?
A lot of people think networking is very important for music, which is important. Networking, chilling with people, or
Mm,
one of the rules is, like, I can tell is you don't have to drink that much
mm,
to be in my kind of industry. You don't have to sit in rooms where there's a lot of alcohol. You just need to sit in rooms where you feel inspired mostly.
amazing.
Yeah, people, I think, tend to, in my industry, people tend to industry just give up a little bit of their things that they don't like to do and give up a little bit of their principles because
Mm,
they think it might work for them. I think that's the rule that you need to
right.
break. I think in every industry, it's just your hard work and perseverance and your resilience that will be tested. And that's what I think. And those are not rules. Those are literally like basic things that survives in the world wild, and it's literally the same thing.
Yeah.
So I don't think you need to be a certain way in our industry. It's expected to be certain form of glamorous or certain form of status quo, like you said. To need, doesn't need to have.
Mm,
So I would be like, if your art speaks for yourself, I think you're wealthier than most people in this industry. Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
That's so.
I can continue from another laptop actually. iPad is there. I have an iPad. Yeah, we can continue.
Yeah. So basically, what I get from that is that the one rule that you've also sort of broken and you would encourage others to is that find your own inspiration and, do things that feel right and honest and authentic to you. It's amazing.
Find your own way of marketing and branding, and find your own way of socializing as well, honestly speaking, because it's very easy to get distracted in our industry uh, if you have the mental capacity to not be in the wrong circles or
Mhm.
not realize that you're in the wrong circles,
Right.
because that's where the time consumption happens. I feel if you're in the wrong circles because you're thinking that, okay, if I do this I might get an opportunity, you're highly mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, like I said, those three basic principles, like your consistency, resilience, perseverance, literally the basic world rules will come to place for you or the modern day industry.
Right.
However times change, I think it's eventually going to be like,
Yeah.
yeah, your own strong roots that will take you there. So find out who you are strongly as a person
Mm.
and then follow that path instead.
Amazing. Coming from like a small town, and like, was this something that you'd ever imagine that you would at one point be playing shows for people across the world?
Of course, no one imagines that when you're that young and all these things happen. Obviously, when I was young, the idea of being an astronaut was marketed to you most. I think my age people, most of them wanted to be a scientist or astronaut.
Yeah.
But I think I wanted to be an athlete. So I think again, it's somehow interconnected to being stoicism. Also, most athletes are extremely stoic. Like I know in a room, a room full of stadium, they
Mm.
get a lot of screaming, "Oh, do this, do that," and they're like hyper focused and just looking at one direction, even though there's noise chirping around them all the time. So somehow, like that athletic, having that athletic mind also helps
Mm.
me in this music.
Right.
Um, because yeah, I was an athlete as well, national level in school. So yeah, when I was young, I wanted to be an athlete. I never thought of being a DJ because this is a very fancy career.
Yeah.
But I also never knew that the music is so spiritual and
Right.
healing as well. So that's where the connection is.
Right. Right. Right.
Parents obviously are from very small town. They have very less idea about the entertainment industry. Now they do obviously because they see their son doing it. Childhood was very decent, I would say. Decent, struggling in its own ways.
Hmm.
We'll probably get into depth of it if more questions come like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I do want to ask a bunch of questions related to that, because I think that, like, when we talk about all these unconventional careers and all of that, nobody really gets into the reality of it. What do those struggles look like?
The struggle definitely is finances is one of the biggest struggles in the industry, financial socializing. But I think if you come from a place where financial planning is important, and also you come from a place where you know how to save money and how to flow your money, and you know where the important investments happen, I think reading helped me there. Reading a lot about finances, investors, entrepreneurs helped me there to personally navigate my career. Obviously, like in Western countries, you have a manager.
Hmm.
So as an artist, you don't have to learn so much. But we are a developing third world country, so
Hmm.
I had to learn these things, and then I got a management.
Yeah.
Usually, if in foreign countries or in like USA or Western countries, if there's a big agency and they like a potential artist, they pick it up. So the artist doesn't have to think much about the financials, the process of growth or those kind of things.
Hmm.
But in India, obviously the industry is very nascent, is very new. A lot of things are still on the verge of figuring it out. Now is, I think, this is the first era where there are a lot of manager and agents.
Right.
I think during the phase of nuclear, there are very few manager and agents. That's why there are very few artists also are very able to make it. I'm not just gonna say that I am really doing well. There are other artists with me as well in India who are doing really well,
Hmm.
who are also traveling. Yeah, they have a different style, different sound. But obviously, like now, the idea of management and the idea of being a booking agent and everything is like much more clearer to a lot of people. So that is one of the struggles. I think education of how those operations work was less earlier here. Now it's much more better, and a
Hmm.
lot of international brands are also international people are also moving to India,
Right.
starting their own IPs, managing. So the struggle was mostly, yeah, knowing about these things. It's like lack of education mostly, I think. Even I am a victim of that as well. Like,
Hmm.
I did not know a lot of things. I did not understand a lot of skills and socializing
Hmm.
that is required to,
Hmm.
to cut through. But
Right.
I think a lot of people, I think 70% of the Indian industry in my genre, they do now. A
Okay.
lot of them are doing well. I'm happy about it.
Right. Right. Right in the beginning
Yeah.
of this conversation, you had mentioned that something around sustainability. You said that you did multiple jobs and all of that before you reached that stage. From your personal experiences, what can you share that helped you sort of navigate through that? Because it's not easy. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, it's not easy. But then if it's not easy, then
Yeah.
everybody would have it if it was easy. That's where that's the difference
Yeah.
between success. No, it's not somebody becomes successful. It's somebody cut through the difficult part, and that's when the success comes from.
Correct.
But yes, what were you asking?
I was just asking that, like, when anybody who's going through this phase where, like, things are not sustainable, that could be relationships, money, and everything else. How do you cut through, like, that entire thing that you said about cutting through and reaching the other
Hmm.
side? What worked for you?
Knowing myself worked for me, as in like when you're having struggle, somewhere deep inside as a person, you also know what will get you out of it as well. So I think
Hmm.
listen to that voice in your head. Eh, and I'm not gonna lie, I think whenever you're going through struggle, as an individual, working is the only way that will get you out of it. Like if you have like terrible amount of struggle, you got to be able to do what it takes basically. Now let's say I'll tell you for an example. In COVID, obviously I became broke
Hmm.
because before that I was not touring regularly. I had an album there. Some royalties were coming from streaming, but that's not enough. So, but obviously now I cannot DJ because there are no spaces to DJ. So what I did
Hmm.
was I was able to cut through using my skills. Like I knew a bit of marketing and Instagram, and I understood that. So I offered my services on Fiverr
Right.
to a lot of upcoming musicians
Right.
where everybody was home, like marketing, Instagram marketing plans or stuff like that,
Hmm.
and for $5. So for 3 months I made like $864,
Hmm.
and like I did what it took. Like I wasn't doing music then. I was practicing my music, but I wasn't performing. I wasn't producing that much. But I
Right.
took that $864. What I used my own skills.
Yeah.
Like I said, you gotta keep working. I think you gotta keep hustling or something like that. Yes, you can have your resting days, but I don't think you can be a lazy person. Like if you're going through a bad time, you cannot be like, "Oh, I can't do anything." You
Hmm.
have to do something. You have to do some work. You have to do some job. You
Hmm.
have to because it's not like a job is binding you. It's binding you through contract. I get it,
Yeah.
but you can find a way out also always.
Yeah.
And if you're struggling in your life with music or life, and then there is a job that is you have to do for 1 year, I would suggest go ahead and do things that keep you engaged.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
engagement is important with the life opportunities because I'm not gonna lie, life does give you multiple opportunities. Just be grateful and just take it. So I was grateful that I had the opportunity to make $864, and I used that. And I
Hmm.
released the Marodam acid mix towards the end of COVID, or I think around March or something like that. I used that money to market.
Yeah.
I used some of that money to market, and then I started getting fans because I was also lucky that everybody was at home. It was reaching to the right amount of people.
Hmm.
So yeah, obviously, I did not like giving my spending so much time for $5 services,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
but you gotta do what you gotta do. I mean, like if anything COVID has taught me, it's like just be grateful that you have an opportunity because
Yeah.
people lost lives then. I was
Right.
alive and I was able to do some kind of job.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
That
I think that's the way to cut through. Just be grateful that you're offered something.
Yeah. I find that so lovely that you've so openly shared that because, like personally in my journey, I am in that place where, okay, this is my art and this is all that I want to do. But then you also have to pay the bills for which, like, like currently, for example, I'm babysitting, okay, and that was never a part of the plan. You have to do this. Like, you can't have it all at the same time. You might
Yeah,
but it'll take some time. So right now, okay, if this is what you need to do, this is what you do, and that, like, you just save yourself to you continue doing your art and like this
yeah,
podcast, for example. So
yeah,
I'm really grateful that you actually shared that because like a lot of times you feel like, okay, I have all of this knowledge, skill, and all of that, and what am I actually doing? And like, and like you said, the $5 services, but then maybe that's what you need to do, and it's not about big or small, it's about what helps you actually focus on your art. People talk about success and the glamour and the sexiness of it a lot, but nobody really talks about that. यार ये भी होता है.
Yeah, but that depends on their life. No, it doesn't necessarily be that they will receive the amount of struggle that I will receive.
Yeah.
As a job of a certain generation, a 16-year-old is a very different generation for me.
Right.
My way of working could be like I have to make, the future generations' life easier. For us,
Right.
I think 60s maybe we would not have survived. For us, we have the internet, we have the different tools to do. So that's privilege for us.
Right.
They'll have a different form of privilege, different form of struggle.
Hmm.
Yeah, just because you are distracted and you have to do something you need to do
Hmm.
and be away from your art, if you're gonna think like that, you're gonna think like that.
Yeah.
But if you think like, no, I need to do this so I can sustain my art,
Yeah.
you'll get there because you've made that blueprint in your head
Hmm.
that I need to do this so that I can use this amount of work and this resources to fuel this. So that is the blueprint.
Yeah.
It's how you design your blueprint in your head.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've toured so much. You've played like so many shows all around. Now like you're slowly starting to play in festivals in Europe, and that's how we actually met when you were here. What is like? Do you have like a particular favorite act, or something that stands out, something that's super 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 special to you?
Oh, it was definitely the Europe set at Poland I did. I was listening to everybody's set. I was like, okay, I was a bit nervous as well. I was like, okay, let's see. It's a different kind of people, and I'm going to introduce a lot of ethnic sounds to them. But the response was phenomenal. I mean, there's a YouTube set. The whole set is uploaded on YouTube as well, and there's videos on Instagram as well.
Yeah.
I think the word spread,
Yeah.
and a lot of people from different stages came to see what I was playing, and a
Mm.
lot of senior DJs who were there at the festival. They also said I set a standard, so I
Nice.
think that was a very good moment for me. I set a standard at the festival, so yeah.
You spend time away from your friends and family, just like because you're too busy working and all. So, how does that impact your social life as such?
Uh, the hard part about it is no sleep and sometimes really not very good food. I mean, tasty food, but not good for your skin and I mean gut. I'm saying like it's eventually mostly outside food. And about maintaining relationships, I think for me it has worked out because I was very passionate about my career. I think my friends saw it as well. And they're very understanding, and we are in touch. Let's not say regularly, but whenever we meet, we are like very much rooted and connected. I think I'm lucky and privileged that way because probably we come from same lifestyle, same struggles, and different, in different parts of the country or the world. But yeah, mostly it's not been difficult with my family and friends, honestly, not gonna lie,
Mm.
because I think all of us are happy. They all are happy for me. I'm also happy for them from whatever they are achieving.
Right.
So somehow we are privileged to have that understanding of not complaining. Oh, you were not there for me. Yeah, we don't talk like this to each other.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, yeah, we were like very self reliable,
Yeah.
and the moment when we come together, we celebrate how self reliable we are,
Mhm.
rather than just
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah. We're just very honest and very accountable, self accountable to each other,
yeah.
like you can say, yeah.
Amazing. With everything that I've understood of you as a human being, as an artist, and everything else, obviously that does impact the kind of partner you want to be with, like and
Oh, partners, we're going there.
wherever you are in life right now, what's important to you?
Someone who will understand that why I travel so much. Like, yeah, I think that's one of the things. Obviously, it's not like I'm not gonna be at home at all. Like, so I travel so much. Like I said, I don't like to take a lot of gigs.
Mm.
Uh, yes, the entertainment industry, I think, has the most number of what do you call unstable relationship. Not gonna lie, I think everybody knows this. It has its reasons also because there's a lot of what do you call mood swings. There's a lot of things happening in our industry, not just DJ in entertainment industry.
Mm.
So I would like someone who is patient as I am, or maybe better than me. Someone who I can learn from, even much more, patience, and
Mm.
that is very important because uh, psychological stress that also comes on my partner if when I'm also psychologically stressed as well. So
Right.
I think patience is one of the biggest factors I'm looking for. Patience and warmth actually.
Yeah.
Something needs to be one because I have a very hectic life,
Mm.
and I should be able to come to home where I feel like, oh shit, I can sleep peacefully.
Mm. Mm.
And obviously, whatever the needs fulfilled for the woman, it will be done.
Right, right. Nice.
Yeah, because obviously it's like if I'm at a place where I'm at peace, I will be able to also deliver, and I'll be able to do my
Right,
diligent husband duties.
right, 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 right. That's
Yeah, be responsible basically when I'm also calm.
mm,
And obviously, it's not like the partner's job to fix myself.
mm,
But yes, having a warm home helps me.
mm.
And obviously, I need to be warm myself as well. And I do believe women can be the greatest teachers in the world. That's how they are able to raise a child on their own.
Right.
Uh, they raise, to be honest, they raise the child. Fathers are usually there.
Mm,
They also teach, they all think, but it's the woman's warmth
right.
that a son or a daughter seeks. I think it's a mother's warmth only. That when you've had a struggle life, you just go sleep on your mom's lap.
Yeah,
Everything's done.
yeah.
Everything's fantastic after that. So yeah, I think you will look for that in a partner as well. Obviously, not as the level of mother because you have
Mm,
a different connection with your mother.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I being patient myself, I also need my partner to be patient. Then we can obviously build a beautiful home.
Right, sweet.
Yeah, cannot have chaos. That's all.
Yeah, yeah. Cannot have chaos. That should be the
Yeah.
headline. Cannot have
Yeah,
chaos.
cannot have chaos. Yeah. But it's very easy to lose control. Self control is important, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Totally.
Mm.
So, what is one thing that people wouldn't believe about fake tattoos?
I don't do drugs, actually. They don't believe I don't do drugs.
Okay.
Oh, another one. They do not believe I'm 32. But that's the thing, it's related to drugs. Because I don't do drugs, that's why I look like this. A little bit younger than my age, I guess.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, yeah.
So these two, very interconnected. They do not believe I'm 32. They
Mm,
do not believe I'm not into drugs. Yeah.
nice.
Because, like I said, I need to be very functional. I think, yeah.
Yeah. Functionality is
Yeah,
important.
considering how much I'm traveling, you never know. They might do a blood test in some airport, and countries like Singapore and Dubai are very.
Mm, 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 mm. Yeah. So yeah, amazing. And what's the best part about what you do? Like, and what is one thing that you put along with?
I think it's watching people emotional during my set. I have seen other people said they rave a lot. Everybody has their different. Every DJ has their different requirement of their audience, and they can choose their audience,
Right.
what they like, what they don't like. For I think European DJs, for European DJs mostly it's they like that hard techno kind of. For me, I think coming from India, I do like my audience to be emotional, and I do see, you can see even in the Poland videos as well, there are people in the front who are like closing their eyes and feeling it. I think I like that the most
Yeah.
about it. What keeps me going, that what,
Right. Right.
yes, let it, feel it in your soul. Yeah,
Amazing.
totally.
And
Feel it
what?
in your bones, feel it in your muscles. Yeah,
Nice. And
yeah,
what is one thing that you
yeah.
just put along with?
Put along with, as in, I don't get it.
As in, like, what is something that you're like, okay, yeah,
It's the sleeplessness.
just okay, amazing. Okay.
It's the after parties, is the sleeplessness. Yeah, it's the sleeplessness, after parties and all that. It's like, after parties are a good place for
Yeah.
socializing.
Yeah.
People want to interact with you, promoters want to interact with you. They want to also, like how you're having this interview. They, in a very casual, way of, sipping an alcohol, enjoying casually. They want to interact with you. You be able to also be like,
Mm,
be chilling with them, be happy about it. And then, yeah, I think the after parties and the sleeplessness
nice.
I have to put up with. But I know it's a part of the job, and I would gladly do it again and again.
Okay, that's it.
But yes,
Yeah.
it is difficult.
It is difficult, yes. Congratulations on the release of Unfazed.
Thank you so much.
What's coming next? What's like, or are you just gonna like, bask in this, promote it a little bit, or you're already working on other stuff?
Yeah, we're gonna promote this, and we're gonna tour a lot. We're also planning, one of my ex manager actually is now my music video guy.
Right.
So he's probably planning some music videos as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll also, I think 2024 from Jan, we'll look out for more countries other than India.
Yeah.
So we are on the lookout for more countries where also, there's potential interest from a lot of countries. It's obviously logistics
Yeah.
part of it that needs to be figured. So yeah, because I do get a lot of bookings from India, and then suddenly flying, let's say I have to fly from Udaipur to somewhere in like Amsterdam or something. It's very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So logistically, it has to be planned from big cities only.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 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 makes sense.
So yeah,
Is there a dream collab that you would want to do?
A dream collab.
Yeah.
A dream collab, actually. Wow. I would like to collab with Javadi, the Game of Thrones guy, the guy who
Oh,
designed Game of Thrones and House of Dragons. I absolutely love his work. His work plays a huge part in me designing my
okay.
soundtrack. I think
I think I
he's a
understand.
very good storyteller, and I make sure that
Hmm.
yeah, you see the interest of culture,
I
history. You see,
I haven't watched
yeah,
you.
some of it. Yeah, yeah, I do use a lot of
Yeah,
yeah.
but yeah, I'm aware of the
He's
soundtrack.
a very good sound designer, I feel. Yeah, yeah. I keep obviously in my stories also in the middle. I keep using Ramin's, soundtracks,
Okay.
and in fact, I do enjoy watching Game of Thrones because of his background score. So I think, yeah, I would more than collab. I would like to be under his belt and learn a lot, or maybe collab, depending on
Yeah,
be around him.
that's amazing.
Yeah, he hits the cultural DNA in me the way he designs his stuff. I feel like so much culture. I know I'm not apart from that. I'm not a part of a culture of a Western culture like the Western history, but somehow he makes me feel it. His sound designs make me feel it.
Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm.
Someone who can make you feel history through his music soundtrack is a very big thing.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
I think what I am most excited for is that I think you playing a show on 16th September, right? And then there's gonna be Run Vijay there, and
Run Vijay. Yes, yes.
I've been
Involved.
such a fan since my childhood days. I think teen, not childhood, but yeah, I'm like, wow. So I'm pretty sure like big things are in store, better things are in store. I love your music.
Thank you.
I love the values that you have as a human being and the fact that you're so honest and genuine about it. I think it's very rare these days, and but what's hopeful is that a lot of people like you and I will getting into a room and talking about these things. So I think it's a
Fantastic.
small change that we are, trying to sort of introduce. Like, is there anything else that you would want to part with? Is there anything that we've missed in this
Yeah, I
conversation?
have a question for you.
Oh, of course.
Why is your username Squadcaster7007?
Oh, my username. I never really change it, because actually in the final video it doesn't come. So it doesn't matter. It
Where
doesn't.
do you used to game a lot?
No, no, no. This thing is called Squadcaster, no? The tool that we're using.
Okay,
So I think they name
okay.
it by themselves. I
Oh
didn't
yes,
name it.
it's
I didn't
podcast.
name it. I didn't name it.
I said very happy and very proud to be a part of By the Rules, and in the initial days especially.
Thank
I'm glad you reached out to me through friends of from where and where, and eventually we ended up meeting in Paris.
you. Yeah,
That was amazing. That
yeah,
was uncalled for, but I think it worked out for the best. I
yeah.
cannot wait to upload the set also as well that I recorded in Paris by your help, with your help as well. So I was very thoughtful. Thank you so much for that as well.
Thank you so much, Sam. Have a lovely day and amazing congratulations again on Unfazed. I hope it gets super, super,
Thank
super
you.
popular. And I'll
Thank
see
you.
you very soon in Europe.
See you very soon in Europe.
Chalo, bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.